I'm not too worried about the guitar, but if I was working on a Gibson, I'd be a lot more careful. I'd have covers everywhere around this when I'm working on it. I can afford to be a little bit relaxed. So all pickups can be tested. Get your own readouts, check whether they're working. I've taken humbuckers apart in the past and actually exposed the coils. You can take the casing off and you can expose the coils, and then you'll find that there's two wires there's two wires coming from each winding, and you'll find that two of those wires will be soldered together, and that's the series wiring. So you can actually unsolder those, and that's how you get your four, because both the coils have two wires coming out, so that's how you get your 4 conductor plus your earth. And then all options are open then if you've got your 2 coils from the pickup. Your options are all open. God, what a mess. I'm not going to mess about too much with the insides of this. It looks like it needs a hoover. God. What do you call it in America? Vacuum. Looks like it needs a vacuum. Yuck. Look at the mess in there. Can you see that? Look, it's filler. Mistake. We messed up. Oh, they've got that filler in there. Give you a close-up, just for a laugh. Cheap Chinese guitars. So you want made in China, huh? Think it's better value? Look at that filler. Look at that. What an absolute mess. It's just rough. Oh my God. Just absolute rough. That's some of the body where the paint, whatever the paint was missed. It just looks loaded with filler. And this, look, you can see the whatever that red paint is. I wonder whether the Chinese person that worked on this got sent to North Korea afterwards. Someone died in the making of this guitar. Welcome to China. Oh my God. Just going to give this a clean. Just give that a little clean. The earth needs a good clean. That's what I'm looking for. Need a cotton bud. So yeah, cotton bud. Oh, look at that. Can you see that? That has just come from the inside of the jack socket. Just going to give the whole area a damn good clean. Because I don't want any more of that stuff going on the jack. If you're really worried, a little jar of alcohol. I'm going to go all over that with this cotton bud and just see what else I can pick up. So you don't want that in your jack socket. Look at the mess of that. So that's really, that's just the jack. Oh my god. You want everything to have good connections. Wow. Just going to clean this area up. Let's just see what crap we've got. Look at this. So I'm going to give this a shake and then start again. I'm going to leave the string earth in there. I'm going to paint this is the conductive paint. I can't say I am too worried about really going to town on this. Because if I do need to go over it again, I might order in some paint and mix some up. Do a video on that. I'm actually quite relieved to get rid of some of this. I don't mind if there's a little bit of this residue left in here, because I'm painting over it so it's not going to cause a nuisance in the future. They've used a lot of filler in this. You can imagine them. Imagine the quality insurance inspector, if they have one. I mean, we used to have, my electronics company, we used to have guys on QA. You either call it quality control or quality assurance, QA or QC. So we used to have guys, and they would spot a mistake and just say, right, well, there's a mistake, can we do something about that? And if there was one particular operative that was making some terrible mistakes, it just meant that they needed a bit more training. So God knows what the meetings are like in China. I dare say they had any, you know, wouldn't want to stop production. So what I'm doing is I'm just getting conductive paint on the sides. God, there's a huge lump knocked out of this as well. If any of you guys watching this, if you've ever added conductive paint to a guitar, let me know. Tell me how you did it. Did you buy a kit or did you make your own? I think I'm going to make my own in future. I can't see the point of buying these kits. They're too expensive for what you get. You know, and I was thinking about it and I looked it up and I thought, there is no way I'm going to do that ever again. I'm going to make my own. Probably make it up once and that will last me the rest of my life. And then when I die, it'll be someone else's job to go through my possessions and try and work out what all this crap is. And they'll just find a jar or something and they'll think, what the hell is conductive paint? Some of my musicians' friends, people have asked me, you know, what's this? What's this for? They found things. There is a great lump in there. Just. What is that lump? That's obviously where they drilled it for the hole. That is terrible. I'm gonna soak it with this stuff. Really getting all of it covered as much as I can. Who knows how effective, what on earth this paint is. I'll have to continuity test it and see how effective it is. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. I don't know. Unless it's a fraud and it's just sold me black paint. I hope not. I think I've got a bit more faith in humanity than that, but I don't suppose you could ever be too sure. Didn't bother masking it off. Obviously, if this was a real Gibson, mask it. But it's a Chinese guitar. And I'm probably going to end up giving this away or something. Don't know. Be a damn sight better than the ones you can buy, I know that. Probably need a little thin brush in there. Maybe I'll get a little thin art brush in there. I'll try and get you a close up of the cavity. So completely covered in conductive paint there. You know, that's as good as it's going to get. I mean, I've got it right in the gap there, so it'll be going right up the sides, all been painted. And then obviously you get nearer the main part of the body where the string earth is, there's always a gap because obviously there's the electronics run there. And that hole there, that one, that's where I think they've drilled through for the compartment, and I think it's caved in or something, and they've just filled. They haven't even bothered filling it, or it has been filled, but it's just not been filled very well. So as I'm a stickler for detail, I'm just going to whack a little bit of paint in here. Just to stop a potential heart attack of anybody who opens this up in the future and looks in the inside and just thinks, who built this? History must be littered with botch jobs. What we call botch jobs. Screw ups. Someone thought it was a good idea. Imagine the proud owner of this company who built this guitar. Put a little bit of paint around. Let's see if it conducts. It can't hurt. Can it? Can't hurt. What a mess. that's all I'm going to do. So I'm just going to leave that to dry before we can go on to the next stage. I thought I'd start with showing you about continuity testing and some parts I was talking about how these components work. Just to basically check to make sure that they're good to put back in a guitar. So there's a few useful things to know, so I'll go through some of them. First thing you'll need is a continuity tester. So this one, you've got an ohm reading and there's a beeper. So to get it on the beeper, so when the circuit, you can use this just to make sure that something is, for instance, here's a lead, so I can just check that the lead is working. So if I take the yellow strip, which is the main hot wire, and then hold it down the other side, we can see that we've got a continuity. Just to make sure I hold it down there. So that lead's working, then I can check the earth, make sure the earth is connected. So I know that lead is good. You can do it for switches. So here, this is a Les Paul three-way switch. So what I'm going to do is put it in the centre, which should mean, in theory, that all of the lugs are connected. So we're just going to test that to make sure that the switch, so it's working on the lower and the middle, and it's working on the upper and the middle, so that's correct. And then if I move the switch this way, these two lugs should be connected, which they are, and the bottom two shouldn't be connected. And then if I turn the switch the other way, then the bottom two should be connected, the upper two won't be connected. So we know that switch is good. You could do the same for volume pots. So if you imagine that you've got, just to rig this up, it's just to imagine that you've got, let's say, that's your front volume and that's your rear volume. Well, if you imagine that you've turned your front volume all the way to 10 and your rear volume all the way to 0. So I'm just going to see the difference in the pots here. So with the front pickup, that's supposed to be on 10, which is this one, let's see what happens. Let's see which ones are connected. So the bottom two are connected there, the upper two aren't. Now if I go to the equivalent here, the bottom two, on the one that the pots are the opposite way around, the bottom two aren't connected, but the top two are. So remember that the front pickup would have been at 10 and the rear pickup would have been at 0. We do it the other way around. So that's the rear, rear on, front off, rear on, front off, put them the same way around. Now they're the opposite way around. That's volume pots. Pickups. If you want to get a reading on your pickups, just to make sure they're working, you need to have an ohm reading. So I'm going to set this to ohms. So here's my signal wire. And there's my ground. And then just wait. Now it's reading 9.04. So that's a 9K pickup. So when you're reading your specs for your pickups and you're thinking about buying a 6K pickup or an 11K pickup. 11K pickup you'll find in a Jeff Beck Stratocaster. something like a 5.5 or a 6K pickup will be kind of in the vintage spec of humbuckers, very low output humbuckers. So you get an idea of you know what pickups you've got. If you've bought a guitar and you're not sure what pickups you've got in them, you can always continuity test them like that. Okay, so that's a little bit about testing. Obviously you can test all your wires for continuity. Now I was doing the shielding and we've got to this point. So we've got I've got this compartment nice and shielded. I've got some, it's dried now in there obviously, and then I've got this plate which will go in the guitar, but obviously I want the plate shielded because it's just plastic at the moment. So the way to do that is with that insulation tape. So I'm basically going to cover just get an idea of the kind of length.
So why not make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel? You can subscribe here.